et bienvenue à ma présentation. Il s'agit de symbolique de la couleur dans l'art, l'architecture et l'urbanisme. Je suis Larissa Noury, artiste, coloriste, designer, architecte, et la couleur c'est ma passion. Color is my passion. So I would like to share with you today my passion, and here you have a presentation of two books I've done, because I have done 2 PhD in color and architecture and color and history of art, and I would like to start with a very nice phrases. And Oscar Wilde said that beauty has as many meanings as man has moods. Beauty is a symbol of symbols. Beauty reveals everything because it expresses nothing. When it shows us itself, it shows us the whole very colored world. So we will talk about the color world, because everything is color. And just we need to feel the color harmony and to distinguish the color combinations. Color is a phenomenon so rich and complex in scope that it is like a part of human activity. And symbolism, color and architecture and art and design and communication and psychology, sociology and physics can dramatically vary between cultures and cities. When we travel, we remember always the color images of the city. When we are in Seoul, in Korea, or when we are in beautiful Venice city, when we are in Stockholm or in Toronto, we remember the color harmony of this city. Color, in fact, is a quality of built and natural environment, and could has portrayed a historical and traditional palette of town. This is an important element of national culture and one of the most important components of antique and modern environment of the surroundings. And we will talk about architectural polychromy, and polychromy, which means multicolorness, is to be achieved using color material, light, or painting. And we will see that the color combinations, not only pictures, line, they are really combination of different material, of colored glass, for instance, like you see in London, like wooden architecture, Shanghai, for the biggest pavilion of China, like metallic panels on the island of Canary in London, or beautiful ceramic polychromatic work in Paris. So all this material could give the emotional charge of the environment. For instance, the bureau of building on the left side became like a sculpture, the superimposed sculpture. The metro station in Paris, on the right side, is a sculpture of Venice glasses, colorful and beautiful different forms. And castle of Chambord came at night time and have some kind of image of nice magical castle because of color of light. So polychromatic design has 2 main parameters, and could be activity or magnitude of contrast between the elements of color combinations, and degree of independence of special colors composition and structure in relation to the volume. The example is like this. You see, Tassel Hotel in Bruxelles, the colors intervention and the form of architecture as well as independent. But in Vancouver, you have like a dance of color on facade. This is some kind of geometrical way of independence. Walgreens, you know well, Walgreens. From San Francisco, you see the color with the same structure as the structure of architectural design. And the rhythm of color of Norwegian village is completely different because of this different color, you have different speciality. Then the color is a sign of human civilization, and he represents the culture or a determined epoch. The choice of color was intimately related to climate, regional materials, thought, culture, regional fate, and customs of life. When we travel in another region, we can see that, for instance, in Russia, in the north part, you have beautiful wooden churches. And this wood, during a few centuries, changed the color. The nuance became like silver. And Dogon, part of African, is very famous because of this color design made by women and the earth form of architecture. Then you have the city of Sana'a in Yemen, and this is a Masonic Stone decorated by a line of very nice white color, and it's symbolically it's some kind of protection of the windows, of the doors, like a dress when you have the broaded dress, the open details they protect by decoration. And another example is Chinese culture. You have a very polychromatic lacquer with a few layers. You have blue, very nice green and red color. Even in the same space, we will talk about India. You have nice differences. You have 4 different cities with different names related to colors. Jaipur, for instance, this is a rose city. Because of the stone, they use a very nice rose stone, this Kamayu. And Jodhpur is a blue city because of the blue color in the different facets. And then Judaipur, and this city is very famous because of the stone and marqueterie of stone. It's not painting, it's a real stone in facets. So the palette is very rich even in the same area. And we can say that color palette in the city can influence environment quality, make visual environments more comfortable, meaningful, or aesthetically perfect as possible, and vice versa. It could come in introduction with the natural color context and create aggressive color fields, or create an artificial color landscape. We can see the example. For instance, in Corsica and Boniface, you can see the confluence of landscape, of color, the architecture. And Poitiers, you have a big contrast between landscape and the harmony in Orlando City Lake district. The very famous metro of Stockholm is the biggest gallery of art, because every station was decorated with a painting. So, you know, the night, they're very long, so they need a color, and that's why they designed the rainbow and this beautiful space of rose stone. And then you have an artificial landscape with green facets in Miami, and some kind of clouds, the very administrative bureau space. We can say that the purpose of color design activity always has been the equation of system, man, color, and architecture, and which is based on the correlation between material and spatial evolution. And symbolic of color relation with an architectural polychromy was a central characteristic way to identifying all precedent civilization and cultures. So when we look at the different civilization, we can say that the first color palette was the palette of Earth. And you can see in Australia the beautiful painting of Aborigine, and it contains 9 different reds, because red, this is the color of Earth, and they have 9 names for red, because they can distinguish all of these nuances. Then you have in Petra a very nice sacred architecture, which is a part of landscape, and all these nuances, they are nuances of the earth, the detail you can see on the right. And some of ancient sacred architecture in China was decorated with thousands of Buddha, and only the background of Buddha was painted with a neutral colors. Then when you go in Babylon civilization, you see that, for instance, Tower of Babylon was like some kind of integration of different colors, beginning from very brown, dark, then red, orange, green, and it was in the end very nice blue, very light blue, like symbol of gold. And at the same time, the very famous entry to the city of Babylon was decorated by big door with the very nice blue color. And this blue color was some kind of color of protection of the city, symbolic. And Egyptian civilization, you have a very nice selection of different pigments. They used usually the white color, like color of God, and the red color, terracotta, like a color signature of Pharaoh, because this is a famous race of Pharaoh. And then you have a blue for ceiling and gray for the soul. So all originally columns were painted, and this some color combination with 5 or more 7 colors is very strict. And another culture and civilization is very interesting for us because they have 2 symbolic colors. This is American Indian and Aztec culture. They have, as you see, 2 essential colors on the chapel, the city of Teotihuacan. They have blue and red. Why? Because the water was the symbol of life, and the blue was the color of real water, color of rain, and the red was the color of sacred water. It was color of blood, but they sacrificed the people to be pleased by the god. So you have some kind of combination of both of color, red and blue, and this stone of the sun, and decoration of relief of the pyramids. In Greece, then you have the very famous architecture, like here in the city Alexandria, which was decorated by gilded sculptures, and then the facades were painted, and they were painted with a special mixture of color pigments, natural pigments, and the wax. So it was called encaustic, and this encaustic were penetrated to the stone, and all this wonderful architecture, Parthenon, Erechtein, they were painted, and you can see the drawings represent this color combination. The Roman architecture and design were very famous because of the Pompeian red. Do you remember, this was some kind of very, very nice color, and it's interesting because this is a color which is also from nature, and it is very stable color. And another things we should do with this color presentation of painting and architecture, that is the perspective way of frescoes and decoration of Pompeian and other villages. In medieval time, you have a very modest palette. It means the only color of stone, because the very important function of the city was protect the citizen. So the color were very, very modest, and they were like encrusted in the wool by another color of brick or another color of stone. The beautiful architecture in Middle Asia is very famous by the color combination of blue, violetish blue, and turquoise. And when you look to the architectural details, you can recognize the calligraphy, which means the poem, the interesting expression. So the color was like a poetic expression of architecture. And then the Middle Age in Europe, you can see the graphism, more geometrical way of expression of architecture. And different cities like Angers, like Colmar, like Liège express these ideas. And the Gothic style were very famous because the biggest cathedral were built in the middle of the city, and they were illuminated by the wonderful, very, very colorful polychromatic windows. And there are very, very strong symbolism in these windows. Another architecture, it is architecture of Japan. And here you can say that the favorite color of emperor was the color of gold. And the gilded pavilion were built only for imperial family. And then for fishermen, there were, for usual people, they built the red building because the red was the color of protection. This red came from the board. In reality, the fishermen painted the board in red to be pleased for the dragon. They say that the dragon was in the sea. And the dragon was green, so he should like the complementary color of red. And the third color is white. The white color was very, very famous in architecture and design of Japan, even in combination of gray and black, because it means space, it means stone, it means nature, it means Zen. So you have also the system of 5 elements in Chinese and Korean culture, and these buildings were very powerful and decorated by women as well. And Renaissance epoch, we have a very theatrical way of decoration of cathedral, like Florence, like Le Bon, even the very highest part of the building were decorated with a polychromatic tile. And Baroque style were like a symphony of colors, because you have the line and the design, which is very expressive, and the powerful contrast, which were very expressive as well. And you can see an example in Italy, in Portugal, in Russia as well. And Baroque style were very well expressed in Château de Versailles, Castle of Versailles, because you have here the beautiful painting, you have the marquetry of stone, and you have a mosaic, the painting, so there were no place, no empty place. Everything was like a powerful, colorful symphony. And at the same time, in the same epoch in Portugal and in Spain, you have a movement with azulejos. And azulejos is also in combination with white and blue color. And as the Portuguese fishermen were big travelers, they came from China and Japan with these techniques, the pottery. And they came with pottery to show this in the city of Portugal, and then they tried to use on the facets, and it worked very well. Because at the same time it gives some kind of sentiment of freshness. And last period is classicism, so you can see that the form start to dominate. There is no any expressive color, only grayish, beige, like very yellow, grayish, etc. And the symbolic of color of urban environment in 20th century, we can start obviously with Gaudi, because Gaudi is my favorite colorist and designer. He said that only people without fantasy could propose the architecture with the only right angle and without colors. So he did everything vice versa. He did the beautiful form, this bionic movement, and the very nice, colorful and stable color palette. So you can see Sagrada Familia, Casabatla, and the others. And the same epoch in Bruxelles, you have another artist which names Victor Porta, and he has a series of beautiful architecture, and the palette of these colors goes from nature as well, but the nature like autumn colors of nature. Then you have a movement which name is neoplasticism, and Piet Mondrian like a painter, and Theo van Doesburg like a designer, architecture, proposed a new, completely new style with only two achromatic colors, white and black, and only three chromatic colors, red, blue, and yellow. And so the combination of this color gave some kind of new superposition of design and architecture and painting. The next one is the movement of constructivism and suprematism of Malevich. Malevich was a very famous painter who proposed the black square, you remember that. But he proposed as well the floating colors, so you have the different colors, and there is no any horizon. So you have like a space, like a universe of geometrical fine colors. And another artist, which name is Andrei Chernikov, was a constructivist as well, and he proposed the architectural fantasy. So it was like this dimension, the very, very nice little drawings, but in reality you can see in Shanghai and New York now the realization of his ideas. So it was very colorful world and constructivists. Kandinsky was a very famous professor of Bauhaus, and he said that color and form, they have something to do together. And he was the first to prepare the special course for the student in art, design and architecture about color and form. So you can see another movement, the movement of Le Corbusier. This is a famous Swiss architect and designer, and he said that only order, whiteness could dominate in architecture. In the same time, he was the man of paradoxes, because every project he did was very polychromatic. Then you have Art Deco style, and Art Deco was very influenced by palette of industrial design, because for instance, Chrysler building, this is only grayish palette, but grayish comes from industry of the car, and the details in the roof, they like a replica of the details of the hill. So then you have Miami, Delano as well, a very nice palette. Bonjour. Alors, c'est spécialement pour être spécial de Javas. And then you have a very nice color palette with very nice nuances, and which is very good for high light building. Then in the 1716 you have some kind of integration of color in industrial architecture, but very geometrical way. And then you have optic art, optic and kinetic art. It means the architect and designer start to employ the color to ignore the architecture and to explain the other ideas, the changes scale of this environment. So the best maybe way to do the connection between art and architecture was done by Hundertwasser. And he has developed like the combination of different styles. You can see the beautiful roof with the bell of Russian church. You can see the painting of African style with the pigments. You can see the roof with the garden like green architecture in Babylon, and like we have seen in Barcelona, a little treatment of facet like Gaudi did. So all this style was very impressive, and he has done a lot of interesting project, and I have visited one here in Nava. There is a winery, and it was the last project of him, so go there to see the real Hundertwasser. And after this polychromatic example, we have very modern architecture, which is very achromatic. So you can not see a lot of colors, but the forms, and very classical treatment of facet with gray, black, and white. Sometimes, like here in Paris, a district which named La Défense, you can see the reproduction of like the sky and the towers, and it is because there were no any green there were no any landscapes, so the colorist and architect decided to do the artificial landscape. And Adam was like an optic artist, and he proposed this some kind of degrading design for the fountain of Esplanade de la Défense. And nowadays we can say there is some kind of ecological movement. The color is very important, and it comes from Scandinavia. I mean, invite researcher in Stockholm, so I can say that they are very powerful on color design, and you can see in Malmö and Stockholm, Göteborg, very nice combination of new color and new architectural forms. And modern architecture is very influenced by pop art, by pop colors. We have seen more today that color palette becomes again the green of apple, the orange of orange, the rose of bonbon, etc. So you can see as well the new techniques like holographic and Hilderstrom city, which cinematic, and from long distance you can say that it is abstraction, but from the very short distance they use the different portrait of people who were working with the cinema, and they leave a part of history. So then you have the color and all the urban design, like treatment of the bus station, like escalator, like fountain, and etc. And then just to show like the people and colorists doing in architecture and design in Great Britain with its natural color system from Stockholm with different nuances of color palette, and Moscow with a different style of historical architecture, different style of modern architecture, and distinctive palette with the facet and details. And France and Nice, historical city of Nice. In Italy and Turin, and in Norway, and Germany, in America, the west end of New York and Miami. And France, we can say the most important, they are Jean Nouvel with Kimberly, Portsaint-Parc, and Renate Gonzalez with cinematic color, when the color image of the building change every second, and Tetrarch group, which is in Nantes, and that's interesting because now we have Prime Minister from this city. He was very sensible of color. It's a good sign. And some unknown colorist, Larissa Noury. So the variety of harmony, the symbolic, is very important for us, and I try to classify them in different ways. So we can say that there is 4 big groups. The color, so you can see the different design of chromatic buildings. Then you have value, only achromatics. And you can see the architecture of Ministry of Culture in Paris and City of Rennes and different buildings. The nuance could change the support. Then you can see the nuance, and it means that you have a very little distance between chromaticness and lightness. And then you have a mixture between colors, chromaticness, and value. So you have a very big difference. So we can work with different system of color. And then I propose to classify this natural color system, all the harmony. And this is a whole view. And then we can see how the painting could explain the background of design and architecture. So this is, for instance, the aleatory combination or harmony, with the example with from Venice, from Buenos Aires, and from Chicuri, and Chicuri Bridge. Then you have antagonist achromatic combination. It means that you have opposition of black and white colors. The combination of antagonist chromatic, it means there is some kind of opposition and a chromatic circle, and you have opposition of blue and yellow, red and green, and architecture on the ground could change, only the combination is the same. Bichromatic, it means there are two colors very close in the same area, like orange and red, for instance, and you have the cities like Yaoundé, Miami, Orlando, in the same background of colors. Camaillot, it means there is a few colors in the same area, but it would be, for instance, red cold, red very hot, very light, very dark, and it gives some kind of special vibration to the atmosphere. Then you have a partial contrast. It means that you have a contrast and some kind of degradation, and two colors becomes like one. Then you have another group, degrading of colors. It means that you have some kind of way of change from, for instance, violetish red until yellow, but step by step, very slowly you can change this color. This is a business school near Montmartre in Paris, and Galerie Lafayette as well, but not with the light of building, with a light change every second. Then you have progression moving, when like, you know, step and different strip with glass facet, with ceramic facet. From Paris, from Lisbon, from Moscow. Fusion, it means that you have like here the very famous building of Barcelona in diagonal. So there is some kind of fusion of two colors. The blue and red became like one color, but there is some kind of vibration between both of them. Then you have equally chromatic. It means that you have only one color, one green, and you have a different nuance, more light, more bright, more chromatic, and like this you have hotel and ceramics in Greece, and new building of Museum of Design and Fashion in Paris. An isolated combination, it means that you have a very natural background. There is only one element who will like a flash in it, and you have a very special effects of the roof in Morocco and Marrakesh. You have a very special building in Norway, in north part, and in Paris. Progression saturation, it means that you have from the beginning the very grayish color, which is step by step could be very chromatic. And so it was some kind of project for the City Hall of Moscow, and there is another building in La Défense. The third group is about equally bright. It means that you have different chromaticness, but they have always the same level of brightness. You can see the building in Miami, Orlando, equally saturated, it means that you have always the same color of saturation, but the chromaticness is different. The monochromatic, it means that you have always the same color, but the support could change. The red of earth and the red of metallic palette is the same, but the visual effect is different because of the support, because of the material. Then you have multicolor presentation. The color are very, very different, but you can work with this color on vertical way, on horizontal way, or some kind of supergraphism. Right? Natural color on Bilboa and Miami means that there is only grayish nuances. Nuanced, it means that there is a grayish but colorful grayish, because you can see the violetish nuances, rose, yellowish, and so on. You have in London, Prague, and Miami examples. And the last group is about polychromatic composition, very famous combination in Russia, Church of Red Square. You know that in Russian, red, it means two, beauty and red. And when they say Krasna Devica, it means that she's not red, the woman, she's beauty. But when you pronounce it the same. And for chromatic, you have two antagonistic pair, so it could be red and gray, and blue and yellow. And tones in the tone, which means what we can see in the MoMA, the black with the polish surfaces and the black with the treatment is the same color, but it's tone in the tone. You can see the difference in the same way here in the building left and right side. Trichromatic, there is some kind of triangle and chromatic circle, and the point is the point of the harmony of colors. So like yellow, red, and blue, the colors were used by neoplasticists. And united color means that from the long distance you perceive it like a unicolor, and from the very short distance you can see the details, and they're very, very polychromatic. So like brick or stone, it is the same. And finally, the last part is the part about art and fashion design. I would say that this is the first example, because it is very important for the dress to do some personal way. And I'm working with somebody who was in Jean-Marie Pujol, who was in Dior and Yves Saint Laurent atelier. So he did the dress, and I just think about color design, how I can change the dress. So a few examples just to show you the difference. I am inspired always from my own painting. And here you can see some kind of very symbolic fleur de lis. And this is a color which is white, and the flower of France. You know, the fleur de lis, this is a symbol of royalty of France. And so I decided to do, like in Belle Epoque, some kind of movement with the coup de fouet, like, you know, the very famous Victor Horta do this color design as well. And the next one is Peacock. I've done it for my exhibition in Shanghai for Better City, Better Life. And because we are talking about two colors, red and green, like they are very complementary, I decided to do the exhibition of two compositions, the red like fire, because this is the favorite color for the Chinese people, and the green like green of the peacock. And this is a very famous and symbolic bird as well for Chinese people. Another example, it was butterfly, and the dress of butterfly was created for the international show. The theme was, the subject was about transformation, and a butterfly is a symbol of transformation, because you know from the very little cocoon, it became a very beautiful and colorful, so it was the idea. Then the creation of the wall, some kind of painting, very abstract, and at the same time very simple. It goes from very famous poem of Yesenin. Yesenin was a very romantic poet, and he said in Russian, «Отговорила роща золотая березовым веселым языком». So I'd like to make a dress like a kimono. You can see it is like a painting. You can put it on the wall, and at the same time you can wear it. And all these poems were calligraphed, the poems like branches of the trees. And in the middle you can see the березка по-английски. Birch. So the first, the axe of the composition, this is a birch. The birch is branches. And the branches were made with the calligraphy as well. Then the dress Oriental princess, because you have embroidery and the imitation embroidery. From the distance, you cannot say that the real or the painted embroidery. And the next one was created for Argentine show, Tango of the Roses, because when we are in Argentine, obviously tango is very symbolic elements. And I created some kind of tango of roses. And as well, when you see a very short distance, you think that it's embroidery, because it was a very, very raffinated way of painting. And there is a painted dress with irises. The irises you can see in the exhibition here. And the orchid branch. You can see the painting. I had a few paintings in it. In Portland, City of Roses. Do you remember this show? And so color is an expectancy of the happiness in the city as in the life. I hope you will enjoy the exhibition, enjoy colors, and I was very happy to share my passion with you, share my passion of colors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
И почему?